Hi, Homeworthy. I'm Nnedy. Welcome to my hotel-inspired apartment here in Austin, Texas. Come on in.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
My name is Nnedy Obiwuru. I'm a 31-year-old marketing and interior design professional here in Austin, Texas. I live here with my fiance, John, and our lovely sheepadoodle, Clementine. Originally from Los Angeles, I grew up in a Nigerian household with 5 siblings and wonderful parents. So moved here in 2020 to open up a Major League Soccer team. So prior to dabbling into interior design, I worked in professional sports for my entire adult career, starting off with Major League Baseball in Los Angeles and most recently here in Austin, opening up the first ever Major League Soccer team in Austin, Austin FC. Growing up, my parents were immigrants from Nigeria. They did their best to provide for all 5 of us. We were well taken care of and had a beautiful childhood. But one thing I never really got to experience were vacations. And it wasn't until my adulthood that I started going to hotels and really seeing what that was like. And there was something so magical, or there is something so magical about being in a space that is perfectly designed for other people's enjoyment. There's a level of, I don't know what the word is, but there's just a level of beauty in creating for others to enjoy, and I really wanted to bring that home. It started off in my bathroom, in our guest bathroom. We made it like a speakeasy feeling with pictures from Harlem Renaissance and Prohibition, and once we kind of set that tone, I knew immediately we're taking this throughout the apartment. I actually had this idea for a really long time. I wasn't sure if I wanted to kind of say publicly that I was doing this. I think oftentimes in the renter space, there is a bit of judgment because these homes aren't seen as permanent, but anyone who lives in a home is home. I always feel strongly, let me read that. I feel really strongly about creating a home wherever you are, and if this is where my home is, it deserves to be beautiful. With hotels, there is an extreme level of curation with other people in mind, and I find that to be very selfless, kind of how I like to live my life, and wanted to bring that into my home. So once we kind of had this speakeasy bathroom done, it was time to bring that into the home. And something about me, especially with my marketing background, I love to storytell, and I also weirdly love to storytell within confinements. The nature of working in sports is that there isn't really a high budget and you have to create a lot with a little. So I loved putting myself in this kind of hotel bubble to see how much I can create within this category. And so far it's been so rewarding. This is the entryway to the apartment. It is very long, a lot longer than majority of apartments, but we absolutely loved it. When I moved in and had to walk to get to the bedroom, I was very excited. We opted for black and white peel and stick tile. They go for like 12 bucks on Amazon. This was super inexpensive. This actually is the same tile we put in 2 years ago. So you can see it's still kept up. We kind of like it with a bit of the scuffs. It makes it feel really lived in, and yeah, we love it. So with this hallway being such a statement, at first I wanted to kind of tone everything else down, but that didn't feel authentic. So we kind of upped it a bit and really wanted to get that first punch when you walk into our apartment. So I got this light off of Amazon. It is a beautiful stained glass light fixture. And because I rent, there's no hard wiring. So in it is a puck light and turns on and off pretty easily. We absolutely love it. Over here is an art piece we got at a vintage store in Benbrook, Texas, while visiting John's family. There was something so fun about it. I love hats and I love all things old. So this pop of yellow and this hat really kind of set the tone for the apartment. And as you walk this way, we got this giant piece of art from John's grandmother. She was moving into a different house and needed to put it somewhere. And so I raised my hand and I said, let's do it. And it's been perfect here. I know art is not really supposed to be up this high, but we've got a really active, jumpy dog who will easily rip this down. So we did want it, but in order to have it, we have to keep it up. Okay, so follow me into our living room, AKA the hotel lobby. When you think hotel lobby, it is the first opportunity for your guests to experience your space. And we really wanted to bring that home here. So we wanted, right when you walk across the black and white checkers, to really kind of get a punch and a kind of a sneak peek as to what's to come. So the first and most important thing for the lobby, like I spoke about, was the chandelier. I have had this chandelier on my wish list for years, and once we moved in, I knew it was time to get it. So we got that with the help of a TaskRabbit, mounted it up on top, and it immediately kind of formed the room. This giant lovely thing here, this black table I got at Goodwill using girl math, aka I had a gift card. It retailed for $25 and I had a $36 gift card, so this table was a free table for all intents and purposes, and it really just set the tone. Some of our favorite hotels have these just giant statement tables that maybe aren't the most realistic in everyday life, but to me that meant we needed it. So when we came into the space, it was super wide open, and the first thing we noticed were how high the ceilings were. And I knew I really wanted to kind of play on that. And the walls were pretty blank and white, and I knew I wanted to add in a little bit of zhuzh. So if you can see here, we added this molding. Poor John, we bought all of our materials the night before, and the second we got the keys, maybe 5 hours later, all the molding in the whole apartment was up. So I think this is one of the main renter-friendly things we did that really just kind of transformed the space into that hotel feeling. This third thing we got was this beautiful Chesterfield couch from Wayfair. It really was this masculine leather that I just loved. A lot of times I kind of could lean towards the plain white couch, but I knew I wanted to step out of my comfort zone and get some statement seating. So we opted for this beautiful couch. While it doesn't look super comfortable, anytime guests come, while we do have them sleep in a bed, they always fall asleep on this couch. So it is sturdy and soft at the same time. Oftentimes when you go into a hotel, there is beautiful art on the walls, and I knew I wanted to bring that home. So we have this massive gallery wall over here. A big thing about me is that I incorporate every layer of myself into the home. Rarely do we have a piece that doesn't really speak to us. So I knew I wanted to blend in some pop art with some abstract, with some photos that we've taken, mixed with some really cool thrift finds. And it was all about getting the art here and there, and then how to make it work on the wall. So we started off with this giant piece here. John and I not recently, but at the time we got a stand mixer, and we got that pasta attachment, and for maybe 6 months, we were in a pasta chokehold. So when I saw this art, it just reminded me of that beautiful time we spent together, and I had to get it. I got this on Etsy and then got it blown up on OfficeDepot.com. And then originally had it over by the fireplace, but moved it over to this gallery wall. The art at the top, the bottom, and here, these are all thrifted finds that I got over the years. This one at the top really matched my initial style of beautiful art with muted colors, but kind of as my style evolved, I really wanted to get a little bit more bold. This, for some reason, I know it sounds crazy, reminds me of the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and something about that reminded me of home, reminded me of my family, sitting and watching those shows together, watching a family in themselves, really spoke to me, so I got that. This was $2 at Goodwill. I feel like that price is really important. Came fully bound, and we love it. These two pieces up here spark a lot of conversation. And I will say, people get surprised when I say this, but those are from IKEA, good old IKEA. I went there for curtain rings and came out with these art pieces. I knew I wanted a face, and I knew I wanted something kind of fashion inspired. So when I saw those two, I grabbed it and I knew I could make it work. I think the really cool thing, I know some people shy away from stores like that, but I think the cool thing is when you mix it together and when you're choosing things that mean something to you, it's gonna work 10 out of 10 times. Over here is an art piece that I did myself. I spackled and then went in with painting, and I'll try to kind of say this really quickly, but I started off with a perfect square, and to me this piece really means you can try your hardest to be perfect, but in the end you're gonna kind of get there anyway. So while over here is a little bit more curvy from a bird's eye view, it's still a square. and you can try your best, but as long as you're trying, it's gonna end up beautiful. So I painted that one, put that one up, and then these three here are photos that I took of things that were really important to John and I. This is at Hotel Chelsea. For my 30th birthday, I spent 2 weeks in New York City as well as upstate, and this is a picture from there. This photo right here is really special to me. It is the Driscoll, which is an old hotel in Austin, and that is where John and I will be getting married next year. So wanted to kind of tell the story of us, sprinkled in with some IKEA on this wall, and I chose to cascade it downwards. It actually was a happy accident. So when I do my art, I always start at the top and the side. So I started at the top and the side and kind of built it this way, and it just worked out. At first, I will say I hated it, but like every good artist, you need to step away from your art for a little bit. And after about 2 weeks, it really grew on me. So this bar cart, it was one of our first purchases. We have so many first purchases, but it was one of the first things we got because we knew we really wanted to host. Both John and I have a carbonation problem, so we got this machine so that every drink can be bubbles. And here are these really cool vintage antique egg, I'm gonna call them an egg holder. Our friends gave them to us. We definitely use these as shot glasses, so don't tell them that. John and I love to collect coasters everywhere we go, and the some that we keep out here are really important to us. So this coaster here is from the Tigress. This is where John and I had our 4th date, which was our first good date. I don't know how we got to the 4th there, but we keep those here. We played, so on the first couple dates, we played We're Not Really Strangers. Not sure if you guys are familiar with that game, but it is very intense. And it's like, are you afraid of failure or success? And I will say, as beautiful as the game that is, it's not the most romantic. So it was just really intense, three different dates. Don't know how we made it to the 4th, but on the 4th at this place called Tigress, it just clicked, and we're like, oh, we're doing this. And the reason this one has tape on it is that John and I, for the last 3 years now, will tape this at random, in random spots of the house. Sometimes I'll slip it in his work bag, sometimes it'll be in my car, and it's kind of a game we play of who can find it. So we keep that here. This bottle here is really special to me. So when I moved to Austin to open up the Major League Soccer team, after our first year, one of our partners gifted this to me. They put my name in it. Everyone always asks me, am I gonna drink it? And the answer is, I have no idea. So we'll see if this lasts into the next year. But this is really cool, and I'm gonna kind of hold on to that forever. And then this bottle of Vouv is actually really special as well. John graduated and got his PhD, and my parents flew in to celebrate. And it was that night that he asked my parents permission to ask for my hand in marriage. And so he gifted them with this, but they couldn't take it back on their flight. So it sits here, and someday I will give that back to you guys. I will probably also drink it, so they'll get that soon. And then over here is this record player. So every morning, John and I do this thing called the morning shift. He goes to take the dog out, and I come out here, open up all the windows, keep the low lights on, and then I put the record on. And it's kind of like our morning shift in our moods, as well as kind of in that hotel feel. Right now I've got Alan Stone playing, who is my favorite artist of all time. But we've got everything from Louis Armstrong to John's Taking Back Sunday, which he swears by. We play that one maybe once every 6 months. It gets a spin. But we love music, and it's kind of seen throughout our home. We've got record players everywhere, but this is a really important piece to us. So we just started decorating for the holidays, and as you can see, I have more than one Christmas tree, which can be a bit insane. But again, I think with the apartment living, oftentimes you feel like you can't do it big. And I got 3 Christmas trees to tell myself and the people that come here that no matter what space you're in, you can make it as exciting and as homey as you would like. So I actually got all of these trees, each tree under $100 at Walmart a couple of years ago. And our theme this year, we're going for a cut glass Christmas, because I have a cut glass problem. So we've got little jewels here. I tend to keep my Christmas decorations pretty minimal. I say this as I have 3 trees, but the decorations on the trees are pretty minimal, and you'll kind of see cut glass throughout the apartment. But yeah, here are our 3 trees, a little winter wonderland. We transition over here. This mantle I actually got on Amazon. It was originally all black, but we painted it this kind of grayish color. And then when we brought it into this apartment, something was just off. It used to live where that gallery wall was, but now lives here. And I matched it to the color of these walls to kind of give that built-in feel. It is very much not built in and very much from Amazon. After we painted it, I decided to just go black on the inside with minimal decor up here. We've got the mirror that everyone's got up here. And this was something that I always dreamed of having, this little combination that we saw all the time, all over online. So when I moved into this apartment and it had the really high ceilings, I knew it was time. So oftentimes at a hotel, there are mirrors on your way out, kind of to check yourself before you get into your Uber. And this is our perfect put on your lipstick before you go out mirror. But this dining room, these chairs were a prized possession of mine. I saw them online and they reminded me of Shrek, another common theme in this apartment. So I had to get it. I got them on Wayfair. They were actually super inexpensive. I will say not typically my style, kind of leaning a little mid-century, but I just had to have them and they are a statement here in this apartment. That with this rug. So all of our rugs in our house are indoor, outdoor. We have a dog who, thank God, doesn't shed, but is still very much an animal. So I just didn't want to invest in a really good rug that we couldn't properly clean. So this indoor outdoor rug kind of added some jazz to the space and we really love it. Right over here is this painting I did of a cowboy. So when John and I got engaged, he took me to this restaurant, but I was having some health issues at the time and I remember none of my engagement and none of that night. So I'll say every week or so after that, John would take me back to that restaurant to kind of recreate those memories. And in that restaurant, they had this incredible cowboy art. So I kind of was inspired by that, painted that, and every time I see that piece, I get to think of how incredible of a fiance I have, and also the fact that I'm getting married and should probably start planning that at some point as it's coming up. Right over here is art from both John and I. So John is a history buff and is obsessed with all things ancient Rome. So we've got that art that he's had for years. We put that up. Our dog's name is Clementine, so we have a little Clementine here to remind us of her. And these two, not sure if you're familiar with the Great British Bake Off, but this is Paul and Prue. So a couple years back, I had a really tough health year, and every night I would stay up all night just watching the Great British Bake Off, and it really got me through some hard times. So I know this kind of looks like a shrine, but they really mean a lot to me and to my family and really helped me get through a hard time. So like I've mentioned before, every layer of us, the good and the bad, still represent who we are. So me seeing this reminds me of that hard time, but also reminds me that I got through it and that there were people to kind of help me get through that time as well. So I think when a lot of people have memories of home and growing up, a lot of that takes place in the kitchen with their families. And when you're in a rental, that life is sucked out of it. It's pretty cut and dry, ready for whoever's passing through. So for us, we really wanted to add that feeling of home into this rental. So I started by doing that with this glass cabinet. Growing up in every Nigerian household, there's a glass cabinet filled with glassware that you absolutely cannot touch. And I, like the good Nigerian I am, wanted that same thing, but the difference is that you can touch all of this. So it is filled with thrift finds and gifts and all of our favorite things that we can touch and use whenever we want. So while these are some of our nicer plates, I absolutely use these for Popeyes as well as Domino's on a good day. And that good day is probably every day. Another thing in rental kitchens that you can do is change the backsplash. So this black backsplash was originally just white and plain. You can kind of see it over here, but I knew I wanted to kind of change it so it didn't feel as apartment-like. And at the place we're getting married, the Driscoll, there are these beautiful, not sure what you would call it, but there's this kind of pattern in one of the rooms. And we like to bring things from the outside in so they remind us of our happy places. So I brought that in. I got these from Hobby Lobby for, not a lot of money, and kind of transformed this whole space. Also something in our apartment, there's a ton of hidden Shreks. Not sure if you're able to catch some of those, but here is another Shrek that's not as hidden, but always here. And it's just kind of really fun while you're cooking or making morning coffee to kind of, say hey to Shrek and start your day. So I might be biased, but some of my two favorite parts of maybe our whole apartment are right here. So these are pictures of both John and I's parents. Our parents mean so much to us, and we love to have family around us at all times. So we keep this here whenever we're getting homesick. You can just say what's up to my mom and dad, and yeah. And this one is super sentimental and special to me. My sweet, sweet John writes me letters maybe once a week, and oh, it might make me cry. He writes me letters at least once a week, and I collect all of them and put them here. And I'm talking not just regular letters, these are like 3-pagers. Anywhere from Clem, he wrote one for Clem for me for Mother's Day, which is insane because Clem is a dog, to my first work trip a couple months ago in a new role, where he wrote me a letter every single day on that work trip. So I love to keep these here. Whenever I'm getting sad, I'll just pop one open, sit on the couch and read it. But yeah, while I do a lot of the design here, someone else lives here, and this is like the kind of the perfect representation of both of us and our hearts and our intention that we pour into our space. Legend has it, and that legend being my mother, is that she changed 3 times while she was pregnant with me. So since childhood, I have been redecorating my space, so to say. From as early as I can remember, I was always using whatever I had to make my space beautiful and really reflect me. And as a middle child of 5, there was always a deep desire to be understood and also to understand myself. So a way that I was able to do that growing up was through fashion and through interior design. Although at that age, you don't really know what those words mean. But I remember even in college, I would deck out my dorm, putting magazines on the ceilings. Everywhere I've lived, I have always reimagined what this space could be. I've always come into plain white walls and had a deep, deep desire to see myself on those walls, as well as for people to come in to be able to understand me. I'm a little bit shy, a little bit introverted, and a great way for people to get to know me quickly is to be in my space. And so I've always kind of held on to that and done this wherever I've lived. Most recently here in Austin, this is my first time living with a boy. So John and I share this space, and it's been really cool to design with him in mind, me in mind. And so this is my first time designing a space that is not just to understand me, but understand me and my significant other. So in my opinion, every good hotel has a restaurant and bar attached. So come on in and visit the last layer. So I know I have mentioned Shrek a lot, and you're probably wondering where the obsession is coming from, but Shrek actually means so much to me and has since I was a young child. So growing up in a really religious Nigerian household, we were not allowed to watch anything that wasn't educational or VeggieTales. So when my parents came home with Shrek, I was mind blown by this movie. And from a young age, I picked up on some of the motifs in the movie that really just rang true. Shrek was someone who others didn't find attractive, maybe found a little bit to be too much or too different, and yet he still managed to find not only friendship but love. So as a young child growing up in this Nigerian household, when I would leave the home, I kind of felt like I didn't really fit in. And watching this movie, I saw a bit of myself in Shrek, and I was always hopeful that although it wasn't in my presence at the time, that someday I would be able to find friends. And what was most important to me at the time, and I guess maybe still is that love connection. And I always found beauty after watching this movie. I just always found beauty in myself and knew that someday someone would see that beauty in me. So me and Shrek go way back. We roll deep, and I love telling that story and bringing him and this movie into all parts of my life. So this is our restaurant and bar that I've titled The Last Layer. So not only is it a nod to Shrek, but it's also the last layer of our home. It's the most recent project we've worked on, and we really wanted it to be that, peeling back the layers of the day, coming here and being your most authentic self. And so we named it The Last Layer. So we love to eat. Kind of how we fell in love was going out to eat and getting to learn each other over, over a bed of fries. So we knew we wanted to bring that feeling here. And some of our favorite hotels all have restaurants attached. And I knew for this particular Austin apartment hotel, I needed to have that restaurant feel. So we built this banquette seat, this inspired by some of my favorite restaurants here in Austin, specifically Sammy's. It has this like old school Italian vibe. We built this banquette seat. This was my first time building furniture, so don't look too closely, but it's actually extremely comfortable. We built it using foam and wood and an insane amount of staples here. None of this is embroidered, all stapled, but it was original. So this is actually our office as well, and our tables sit here with our laptops here. And this wall was just bare. And I just thought there has to be a way that we can maximize this space and really make it multifunctional. So building this banquette up against this empty wall gives us seating for, we can fit 15 people in here super comfortably for some of our dinner parties. And yeah, just absolutely love that red. And so we had the red in mind first, and I was like, what color would pop with red? And randomly I thought brown. I know it is not traditional to go glossy with the finish, but we went for a brown gloss. We added in this paneling as well as this molding here, saturated the whole room in the brown, and it instantly kind of made the space feel really luxurious. It kind of gave that speakeasy vibe while also giving this like rich chocolate feeling, and we absolutely love it. It's so fun to walk in. I feel like rarely is it that you walk into an apartment and you enter an all brown room. Kind of can give a little Willy Wonka on some days, but it really just transports you to somewhere completely different. As you've seen in our house, we love art, and I love black and white art. And so John actually got me these prints of the Rat Pack. They meant so much to people at that time, and for us it just kind of was a great way to bring joy in. So we want, when people come here, again, the last layer, peeling that off, you come in here and you experience joy, and joy meets you at the door. And we felt like these photos really represented that. These picture lights, we have picture lights all over the apartment. When you're a renter-friendly girl, you have to have the renter-friendly lights. And typically they're very inexpensive, but we did opt for these ones as they kind of mirror the real, more expensive picture lights. These are battery powered. They're a little bit more pricey, kind of around $90, but I knew I wanted to elevate this space and really make it special. And I felt like I just couldn't do that with the plastic lights. So we added those in there. This table, believe it or not, well, I guess if you can hear it, you can believe it. It is just a regular fold out table. We have so many of these tables that we work on in our giant closet, but when it's time for guests to come and we want to give that experience, or just a date night for John and I, we will whip out this table, put the tablecloth on it, deck it up, and we have our own little restaurant here. Something really cool that I did was I made a menu of all of our favorite things. So here are some of the meals that we eat pretty often. So it's really fun to just have our regular pizza night where we make our pizza from scratch, but it's on the menu. So we'll sit in here, look in the menu, order, and just kind of romanticize our life, even on some of the darker days. So this is great. We've got our signature cocktails over here as well. And it's really fun when friends come over. Even though, the menu really is a prefix menu, you kind of get what we cooked, but it's really fun when people come over, they can open the menu, order a drink, and go from there. So here are our two signature cocktails. We plan on expanding these as time goes on. So we've got ogres and onions. It's got a cocktail onion and an olive in a martini, and then we've got Clementine spritz, as Clementine is our dog, and we just added some sparkling water to kind of a lemon drop. So these are some of our favorite drinks, the wine that we typically always have on hand. And then here are some of my favorites. So oysters. John is an expert oyster shucker, so we've got those often in the house. I am a sucker for some caviar, so throwing some hot Cheetos in there really kind of make it exciting. And then just some of the food we typically eat and kind of just zhuzhed it up. And our most favorite dessert being a carajillo, which is espresso and liquor 43. Something that we absolutely love to do, and I've always loved to do, especially as a middle child, I always loved writing my name on things, because when you have so many siblings like I did, things would get stolen, and you kind of mark your territory. So I love monogramming everything. So as we named this bar The Last Layer, it wouldn't be a bar without its own matchboxes. So we've got The Last Layer restaurant and bar matchboxes, with the back being Shrek, to let people know the origins of the name. And when our guests come, they get to take this home with them and use them. And we hope that they think of us as well as think of the amazing time they had here at our apartment restaurant. After we built this area, we had a lot of extra space over here. And while we work in here and do everything in here, there still was so much extra space. And I thought, how can I kind of turn things up a notch? So I decided to build a bar. This is actually a collapsible bar. We built this collapsible bar for only $80. It is built with plywood and wood up here on the top. We can actually got it cut at Home Depot. If you know your measurements, they are so kind and will cut that for you. We cut it, put the same paneling we have over here on the other side of the room. We put it over here, put some molding at the bottom. This top actually lifts up. And then over here on this side, we added some hinges. So it hinges in, and then this top hinges down. So easy entry into the bar for our bartender of the evening. So when we moved in, I knew we wanted built-in bookshelves. We have over 600 plus books here in this apartment. So I got these really inexpensive bookshelves at Walmart and just stacked them on top of each other. This whole project was under $300, but after some time, I was kind of getting a little bored of it and wanted to make this into the restaurant. So drenched this in the brown, added some paneling, and then did this really cool project with mirrors actually from Amazon. You just kind of cut them to size and attach it with the adhesive that it comes with. And it kind of made the perfect backdrop for a bar. So this backdrop plus this bar was just kind of like the chef's kiss, the last layer of our apartment. Something we also did, as we are huge cocktail goers, is make these custom coasters. I mentioned earlier that we love collecting coasters from everywhere we go. So now we have coasters of our own and can pass that along to our friends and family when they come to visit. And then over here, so everyone always wonders where we do all of our work. So we are really blessed to have a lot of space, but we're also really blessed to have a lot of storage. So while I won't show you guys this because it says employees only, it is a giant, massive closet. So all of our power tools, our extra pillows, our extra decor, it all lives in here. This room is actually also our guest room. So we've got a full queen size mattress in here. We've got a bed frame. We just keep everything in here. And then I thought it would be funny to put this employees only sticker on it so that you can't get in there. Only John, I, and the dog. Maybe the dog can get in, but this is for our eyes only. So every restaurant needs a good bathroom, and every hotel we go to has the sickest bathrooms, and wanted to bring that feeling here. So this was actually one of our first projects that we worked on. I started off on this wall. I knew I wanted to bring in Black joy into our apartment. I love the Harlem Renaissance. I also love Prohibition. I think there's something fun about it. So I started collecting these different artworks from online and in store, and just kind of started building my collection. And I knew in the bathroom, I think it is weird to spend as much time as I do in here not utilizing what it's intended for, but there's something so calming about a bathroom. It really is just a chance to breathe and think and kind of zone out from the rest of the world. And I thought, while my guests are in here using it, what would I like them to be thinking about? And it was joy, and specifically Black joy. Started off collecting this art. Something to note, every single frame is from the thrift store. So I spent $50 on all of these frames, which is probably my biggest accomplishment with how often I go to Goodwill, but it is so doable. It doesn't cost a lot to make a big impact. You just have to know where to go. Thank you to all the thrift stores that I found these frames in. I started building this wall and then just wanted to take it all over. So I don't even know if this is finished. I think in my dream world, it is every single part of the wall is filled with a frame and a face experiencing life. And again, in this apartment, there are a lot of hidden Shreks. Here is a screenshot I took from the movie. It's the scene where Shrek is telling Donkey that ogres are like onions, and you can see here that he's got an onion. So as weird as it is, whoever's sitting here on this toilet, they kind of have a straight shot into our apartment and into Shrek. So weird or not, guests love it. This room is also still a continuation of the last layer bar. So every good bathroom has monogrammed towels. So yeah, after you wash your hands, you can dry off with this cool towel. This was actually gifted to me from a person on Instagram. It is this cool cut glass, and we put all of our Q-tips in there just to kind of add into that cut glass Christmas, like I mentioned before. Record player here. This was John's first gift to me for Christmas. And we're spinning Samara Joy, who is a beautiful jazz artist who really kind of fits the vibe. We've got Nina Simone, and just kind of fits the vibe of this bathroom. The lighting here, all of it is renter friendly. So like I mentioned before, there's no hardwiring allowed in renting spaces. So I got these from Amazon, and in it are puck lights. To some people, it can be a little bit annoying to charge them as often, but I charge these maybe once every 3 weeks, and they're good to go, and it is worth it for the ambiance that it gives. Here is this old school barbershop mirror. One day after church, we were walking through East Austin and stumbled into this vintage shop. This was used as decor. She was not selling it, but after some persuasion, she sold it to us, and it really just makes this whole place kind of come to life, and you feel like when you walk in here, you're kind of in a little time capsule. I think the beauty about boutique hotels is it's kind of whatever you want it to be. Anyone can have this experience at home. Some really big things that I did that I think anyone can do to bring that luxury into their home. First off is lighting. I rarely use the overhead lighting. Today is just for you guys, but swapping out those light fixtures for chandeliers, it makes an incredible and immediate difference and is worth it every time. And as a renter, it is if you know how to do it right, it is a 15-minute swap back. So that is one of the most important things I think to do to get that really luxurious feeling at home. Something else we did was we added room numbers to the outside of our rooms. So there's only 2 bedrooms here, but at night it gets really dark, and instead of putting on the big light that I despise so much, I had the idea of putting these little night lights on the outside. And we added numbers to them because when you arrive at a hotel, the first thing you do is, where's my room number? So it's a really cool way to kind of bring in that hotel vibe at home. For us, my family is all in Los Angeles, and John's family is a bit farther away in Texas. So we put our hometown area codes on it. So every day that we walk in and out of our rooms, we see our family. And so it's a great way to bring hotel in, but also having that layer of you present as well. And then I think the last big tip I would say to bring that hotel feeling home is giant statement pieces. I shop on a budget. We are Facebook Marketplace, Goodwill people over here, and I always am looking for giant statement pieces. And I recently got this giant table for our little hotel lobby that we're sitting in here. And yeah, when you find that really big piece that kind of scares you a little bit, get it and make it your own. So we are at the last room in our apartment hotel, which is our bedroom. So it gets really dark out here at night, and sometimes you don't want to put on the aggressive uplight to disturb the people who are sleeping. So I opted for this night light, and when I put it up, I was like, you know what? This is the perfect spot for hotel room numbers. So while we don't get lost in our apartment, I thought it was a really great way to bring in that hotel charm. We also did it in our area codes as our families don't live nearby. So mine is 562, which is Los Angeles, Lakewood, Long Beach, where my family is. And it's really cool that every time I come into this bedroom, I can kind of remember my past as well as part of me, remember my family every single day. All right, so this is my hotel-inspired bedroom. There's something that we love so much about the hotels we go to, the art on the wall, the grandness of the bed, the stripes everywhere. There were so many little details we brought in to really make this space feel like a vacation, like a staycation. I think the biggest thing that we did was this chandelier. This is another Amazon original. It was $121 on Amazon. We spent hours kind of building it together, but we thought, what do our favorite hotels have and what do other apartments not have? So it's another touch we did to really transport you to somewhere else. Something that's like quintessential hotel is the stripes. So I love a good stripe on everything, as you can see with my blazer, as well as my bedding, as well as the ceiling. So I added this stripe going around the ceiling, stripe in the bedding, and that really for me kind of felt hotel-like. There's also a stripe here on our rug as well. Something we did that we loved, again, I mentioned prior, the put your name on everything, was getting monogrammed sheets. So I got these from Etsy, and we've got about 4 or 5 different versions of it. And it's our initials in the order that we sleep. So it's me, Clementine, and John. And Clementine always will come and lay right on her C. She does get kicked out at 8:30 every night, but for all intents and purposes, that is where she sleeps, and she knows her spot. So we love that. It makes us feel like this home is ours. It's a small touch, a small inexpensive touch that goes a long way. Something in hotels, like I mentioned before, there is so much intentionality in those spaces that are created for other people. So adding this extra touch of monogram sheets kind of displays our intentionality to ourselves. You kind of take yourself a little bit more seriously when you're in a space that someone spent a little bit more time making it beautiful. It really does add that extra touch of luxury to our space. Curtains in a hotel is so important. It's kind of the thing you see that you don't normally get when you're at home. So we wanted to bring that luxury feeling into the home. We got these extremely long, as we have high ceilings, extremely long velvet curtains from Amazon, 3 panels on each side. And then I built this cornice, valance, not sure what you call it, but I feel like when you go into a hotel, what makes it different from home is that you can't see the ceiling track and you can't see where it starts and where it stops. So I built this cornice kind of hiding the pole, which kind of makes the space special and makes you feel like you're actually in a hotel. And I brought the stripe downwards as well, so that little extra touch of intentionality. This bed frame was actually passed on to us from John's grandma. So she had this for a really long time, never used it, and John was able to get it. So John had this giant bed prior to meeting me, and we wanted to bring a piece of him and his family into our home. So we repurposed it, finished it a little bit, and now we have it. It's kind of our one of one, as I can't really tell you where to get it, but we have that, and that's special to us. Something that we love so much is this desk. So I have dreamed about having a desk in my bedroom or in the living room, and it's quintessential whether you're staying at a Holiday Inn or the highest resort, there is a place to work. And so I wanted to bring that space or that feeling into our apartment. So this desk is actually from Wayfair. I scratched it up. It was bright blue. I scratched it up to give it kind of a weathered look, painted it with black, and then switched out the knobs to give it that feeling. And then this chair here, I got from Goodwill. It was white and had a painting of a giant bird on it. And while it was beautiful, it wasn't really my speed. This chair was maybe $10. So I did the same paint that I did here, painted it on here, and now we have this kind of custom, again, one of one piece that I get to journal in, read in, spend so much time in here in our bedroom. So again, with the hidden Shreks, here we have Fiona. So this is Sutton Foster. So more than Shrek the movie, I am obsessed with Shrek the musical, and Sutton Foster played Fiona in Shrek the musical. Every day when I come and see Sutton here, it reminds me of this movie that means so much to me. It reminds me that I have friends and family who love me just as I am. And yeah, I just loved having that here. And then up here actually are some of our favorite hotels. So part of my philosophy of every last layer is blending your past with your present and having a bit of aspirational items in there as well. So we kind of did this here. We have some of our past hotels we've visited and loved, like Hotel Chelsea. And then we've got some of our present that we have upcoming, like the Carlisle, and then my dream hotel, which kind of sounds like my name too. It's called the Ned in London, and that's like our aspirational. Like, it would be so cool on my honeymoon to be able to go to the Ned hotel, maybe, you know, Ned and Nnedy taking a picture together, but they've got the black and white tiles there, so it kind of seems like it's meant to be. So putting all of these up on our bed kind of like seeps in hopefully through my sleep and just reminds me of where I've been, where I'm going, and where I really, really hope to end up. And these are something that we swap out every so often based on our travels. I think with apartments, oftentimes people are kind of scared to put things up on the wall, and I think there is something so luxurious about a mounted mirror. So I know it's such a small touch, but it makes all the difference. So we got this mirror for about $30 and decided to mount it so that we can get the full outfit shot, and it really kind of takes the place up a notch. So it's kind of like the theme of our apartment is what's normal and then how can we take it up a notch. Just mount your mirror, put it up a little higher than you think, and it will really just open up and transform that room. And a little bit over here, so John, I know it's a lot of this is me, but John's still represented. He's got his Star Wars over here. I will not embarrass him trying to name them. I called her Leela today, and he didn't like that. So not sure what her name is, but he's got his Star Wars representation here. And this is a quote that we both kind of pass off on our various sides, but it says, "I think myself happy." And here we go to a church here called CLA, and one of the sermons was just about how life can be really crappy, life can be really crappy like that. But you have the choice whether you would like to be happy or not. And every morning we have the choice to say, "I think myself happy," regardless of what's going around us. So we pass that Post-it note back and forth and really try to live like that. I have been doing this to my home and posting it on my private Instagram for years, and everyone has always been encouraging me to go public with it. But as a private person, I was like, no, I'm okay. This is just for me and my friends who come over. But on my 30th birthday, John, my fiance, presented me with an LLC and said, "Hey, you have this name floating around. I went ahead and did this. I got you a website domain and all this. It's time to do what you were meant to do." And from there, I've kind of just dove into it, still scared, but having a lot of fun. It's really cool to be able to share my home, my personality, my insane love for Shrek, and have it be welcomed by so many people. I think while social media can be a scary place, oftentimes, even in the happiest of lives, you can feel really alone. And it has been such a blessing to put myself out there and receive so much love in return. Kind of makes all of it worth it. But every last layer is, as I say often, it's a dream realized. It is so cool that I get to do this and even be here with you guys today. Home to me means so much. I kind of titled my brand here Every Last Layer, because I really do believe that it's each of the layers of us that make up who we are, and all of those are not only meant to be respected and seen, but also celebrated. And I feel like home is wherever all of those layers of you are, again, not only accepted, but celebrated. So whether that be within the four walls, whether that be at your favorite restaurant, or whether that be with friends or family, anywhere where you can be all facets of yourself and feel comfortable doing so is home to me. Thanks, Homeworthy, for touring our house today. I'll see you next time.
Thanks for watching. Go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content and shopping guides.